Sunday, and we're still licking our wounds and trying to get through some turkey and some pumpkin pie here this week. And lo and behold, they have it worse than we do, even in Cincinnati, Ohio, where, 12 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins. Can't win in January, and now having a hard time getting there. Sean Meat Kelly does rock and roll in Cincinnati, as well as some Bengals and Reds talk from time to time, maybe a little Bearcats in there. Meat, welcome back to Baltimore. I know this is tough times in Cincinnati, and certainly losing to the Bills at home on Sunday in sort of Buffalonian kind of weather as well, right?
Yeah, I called them to lose on Sunday just because, the Bengals this year, for whatever reason, have not been able to put it together. They can't put together 4 quarters. And then, of course, you lose A.J. Green now, what looks like for the season. Giovanni Bernard with an ACL tear, so he's gone for the season. And now everybody, the voices are louder than ever, calling for the head of Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, and I think a lot of you have forgotten what it was like before he was around there. We're calling for Buck Showalter's head around here because of the Zach Britton thing, but I remember what it looked like around here before he got here, and certainly you do as well with Marvin. They've had such a continuity there, maybe more so than any other place, and I guess when I talked in the offseason, the Ravens have tried to hold the team together here over the past number of years, but we lose a lot of guys. This seemed to be the offseason where you held together the offensive and the defensive lines. The wide receivers have gotten out of it. And then more than that, just that loss to Pittsburgh, the hangover of that, the problems stemming from that. And when Marvin gets fired, whenever that is, and I had dinner with him last Sunday up in New Jersey, so I'm certainly not looking forward to the end of the Marvin Lewis administration, although it's been 13 years, 13 pretty good years. But when he gets fired, I think everyone will look at it and say Vontaze Burfict probably played a pretty big role in that, and his loyalty to Vontaze Burfict, he probably will go down with that ship in the end.
Well, and here's another thing you have to look at. All right, if you get rid of Marvin Lewis, who are you going to bring in here? Because I can tell you this, the Browns aren't going to give up complete control to a head coach. And if you get rid of Marvin Lewis, you bring somebody else in. You might get a whole new coaching regime. You might get a whole new offense, and it could go from bad to worse. You never know. It's never good, and you know this as well. It's never good to rebuild an organization. Now, you're having a down year, and now you're down 2 pretty big players. So you kind of just, in my eyes, you ride the season out. You evaluate some things in the offseason, and you go from there. But there's no way they're getting rid of Marvin Lewis, anytime during the season.
Well, and that's pretty much obvious. And then I go through, I got the Bengals franchise records here, right? 12 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins. Who's going to come in and replicate that over the next 5 years? That's always the question. And look, the Browns are weird, right? You're in Cincinnati. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. They couldn't figure it out with LeBeau and Kozlet and Shula and all those guys before. With Marvin, at least he worked with them. You know what I'm saying? That's like the Oakland job. That's not a job for everybody, right?
No, and another thing, you lost Zimmer to, the Minnesota Vikings. He's having his success up there. He was our defensive coordinator. And
Jake Gruden as well, and Hugh Jackson as well. When you have success, when you win 12, 10, 11, and 10 games back, you're going to lose coordinators. That's the way it works.
Well, and at the end of the day, football, like anything else, and people don't like to hear this, it's a business. And if the Cincinnati Bengals, as a business, are doing okay financially, they're not really going to shake the boat up much. And I will say this, the Brown family is loyal, is very loyal. So for them to get rid of Marvin Lewis, probably not going to happen. I could see them maybe taking him and moving him to a front office position because in Cincinnati, there's the Marvin Lewis Foundation. He does a lot of good around the area. And people, generally like him. But, on the field, you may not get, to the Super Bowl every year. But we've got a good coach in Marvin Lewis. And, yes, it's going to be a frustrating rest of the year here in Cincinnati. But coming up on Sunday, this is still a big game. The Bengals have the ability to not necessarily control their own destiny, but put themselves in a position. Because if they knock off Baltimore, they still have to face them again on New Year's Day. If they knock off the Steelers again, if, a lot of things can happen. I mean, you've seen it. The NFL is nuts when it comes down to the last few weeks of the year and people vying for their playoff spot.
Well, we come into Cincinnati for New Year's. I feel like I should get a cot there. I've seen the fireworks in Cincinnati. Feels like every year for a decade. But at this point, with 6 games left in the year, what the Bengals have to avoid is finishing 4-11-1. Right? I mean,
right.
A 1-5 finish could do Marvin. It certainly is going to cost a lot of guys around their jobs beyond Marvin because they need better players. They need to shake up their roster at this point, and this will be an awakening, much like 6 years ago when Marvin survived the Carson Palmer exit, right? I mean, not a lot of coaches would have made it through that for a rebuild. They got themselves a quarterback, but more than that, he has really subscribed to the Ozzie Newsome way of having that core guy, 10, 15 guys there that have been core guys from the beginning, starting with Whitworth and going all the way around the roster. And Burfict is one of those guys, and Maluga and all those guys. But they need some younger players, and when they lose A.J. Green, I mean, where's the offense go without Bernard and Green? I mean, this could really end ugly. This could be a bad month of football for them.
Well, and here's another thing. Green out, Giovanni Bernard out, and A.J. Green has been, Andy Dalton's blanket throughout the entire season. But this may force the Cincinnati Bengals, this may force the offensive coordinators to get a little bit more innovative and not necessarily build everything around A.J. Green. Not necessarily a bad thing to have that caliber of player out there, but guess what? He's gone, so now you got to concentrate on getting the ball to Tyler Eifert, Tyler Boyd, our rookie, who in a couple years is going to be a pretty darn good receiver, but you got to get him, you got to get him the reps in there. So it's going to be a huge shakeup right now on the offense. Just this week alone, now you've got to adjust. You've got to play an AFC North rival on the road. I think this Sunday is actually going to be a good game. Now, do the Bengals come out on top? You know how the AFC North is. I mean, it's always a coin toss when the AFC North teams get together.
Well, we haven't beaten Cincinnati in a long time. We got Sean Meek Kelly joining us here from WEBN in Cincinnati, where he does rock and roll radio, as well as some Bengals stuff and even a little Red stuff in the summertime. We don't have baseball season around here. Too damn cold to be thinking about baseball right now. Burfict, for all of the warts and all of that, he's still a hell of a football player when the motor gets going, right? I mean, routinely leads the team in tackles. Did again on Sunday. He is their most talented player, especially with A.J. Green not being out on the field. But then there's the whole managing of him, right?
Well, I always looked at as Vontaze Burfict could become, the next Ray Lewis as far as the general on the field. The only thing, that I wish we had is a Ray Lewis to mentor him because, he's got Maluga around him. I mean, Adam Jones is, a captain now on the defense.
Well, he had his own set of problems, right? I mean, when he was Pac-Man.
I really think Vontaze would definitely thrive if he had that bigger brother there to look towards. And I know Pecco's there, but, he's getting long in the tooth. He's been in the NFL now, 10, 11 years?
Atkins as well.
Vontaze,
sure.
Yeah. Vontaze definitely one of the most talented linebackers in the NFL. If he can just focus a little bit more, at the right times, we forget. I mean, these guys are, 24, 25 years old, and on the field, and it's a joy to watch these guys play. But then when they do things like they did in the playoff game last year, you're like, gosh.
Well, and then there's Andy Dalton, right, who, as much as Marvin hasn't won the big one, he hasn't won the big one either. Neither is Burt. None of these guys. Atkins, we go through the whole list of them. They all lose in January, too. It's just Marvin that gets blamed for it in general or gets credited with the losses. But Andy Dalton, where are we with him at this point? And certainly and we've learned with Joe Flacco around here, when the receivers are limited, when the offensive line's not protecting the right way, when there is no running game, and you have to say that, given where they are with the running game right now, with another injury there, that it's going to affect the quarterback. He threw a couple of picks on Sunday.
Well, and here's another thing now. With A.J. Green out and Giovanni Bernard out, there's going to be a lot of focus on Andy Dalton to make this offense work. And you'll have people here in Cincinnati crying for well, let's give A.J. McCarron a chance. A.J. did a nice job coming in, the later half of last year, getting us into the position of the playoffs, but he's going to be a free agent. And this is a guy who's probably going to, I could see him starting somewhere. I could see Hugh Jackson trying to pluck him up to get him into Cleveland. A.J. McCarron's definitely a good quarterback, but this is Andy Dalton's team. They're not going to take this away from Andy Dalton. He hasn't played his way out of the position, and especially now, when you take away some of the weapons that you have, he's even got more of a case that, listen, I'm out here on the field. You took away 2 big guns from me, so I kind of have to, improvise the rest of the year.
Sean Meat Kelly covers all things Cincinnati and rock and roll in sports. You can follow his journey at Shut Up Meat. Yeah, it's that SHUTTUP Meat out in Cincinnati. And, hey, man, we'll try to keep it warm around here. Don't eat too much turkey and pumpkin pie out there. It is a very, very strange week to see this kind of a struggling Bengals team coming in here and feeling confident, especially after we played in Dallas over the weekend. Not well, not poorly, certainly a lot of penalties, but a chance for the Ravens to get off the schneid with the Bengals and effectively end their season if it hasn't been ended already, right?
Well, let me tell you what. If I cannot root for the Bengals, I will always root for the Ravens because that is rooting against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know what? I like you, Meat. We're all right, man.
We'll say the Ravens are my second favorite team in the AFC North.
Oh, all right. Well, you know what? I feel the same way about the Bengals because, my affection for Marvin and the fact that, the Bengals are getting to be like the Cubs, right? They just never win. So you almost sort of feel sorry for them. But not this year. There'll be a good draft pick somewhere along the line. Marvin, by the way, signed through the end of next year. That would really be unprecedented, right? For them to fire Marvin and give him a couple $1 million to walk out, right? The Brown family doesn't do that.
Yeah, like I said, as far as the organization goes, he is a good guy to have in the organization. He's a great ambassador in general for the NFL. I don't see the Brown family saying, we're going to move on from you. If anything, I would think Marvin would be involved in the process of bringing somebody else on. A couple of years ago, it was talked about Hugh Jackson would be the one who would be taking over from Marvin Lewis. But, you've only got, 36 head coaching jobs in the NFL.
32.
And if one pops up, you got to go snag it. And that's what Hugh did up in Cleveland, and that's what, Zimmer did in Minnesota. So it's unfortunate, but that's what you do. As an offensive or a defensive coordinator, you want to compete, you want to run your own team, and unfortunately, sometimes it comes at the cost of, making your team you went from worse and trying to make something else better.
Everybody wants to run a team till they're 3-6-1, and then then it's not so much fun
right?
now, is it?
I would rather just sit back and be a nice, maybe special teams coach or something like that and fly under the radar.
Yeah, we'll work under the radar. But, when the head coach gets fired, so does everyone else. So that's generally the way it works. Great having you on, Meat. Keep the faith out there in Cincinnati. Bring me some chili. I'll see you on New Year's, man.
I will, brother.
You got it. Sean Meat Kelly of WEBN in Cincinnati, Ohio, talking all things Bengals and the Bills. And, of course, the Bengals lost to the Bills 16-12 in Cincinnati on Sunday while the Ravens were dropping their game in Dallas 27-17. Luke's going to be on the backfields through the holiday this week, including our turkey and pumpkin pie special here this week. You can find me out on the internet anywhere Baltimore sports is served. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on Facebook Live as well as on our YouTube WNSTV channel. Anything you miss you can find in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We come in crystal clear from wherever you are. The morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. every morning. That is brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month out there, and there's one right around the corner for you. Makes a nice sort of a holiday gift for the new year. Get somebody in shape for $10 a month. You can learn more at Planet of Triumphs as well. Last but never least, if there is breaking news to the holiday weekend at any point, the Orioles do something, the Ravens have some roster situations and some injuries, we're going to update you on all that on the WNST text service. It's for breaking news. Never spam, and always brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis is here every Thursday with the SSV on WNST from 3 until 5. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.